The 21st of March 1960 marked one of the first and the most violent demonstrations against apartheid in South Africa. Up to that point, the Sharpeville massacre resulted in the most deaths of South Africans in a protest against apartheid. At an annual conference in Durban held by the ANC on the 16th of December in 1959, the President General Chief Albert Luthuli announced that in 1960 they were going to launch a series of mass actions in order to launch a nationwide anti-pass campaign on the 31st of March, which is the anniversary of the 1919 anti-pass campaign. A week after the ANC's conference, the PAC had their own conference. So the PAC was a break away from the ANC, and their president was Robert Sobukwe. So at their conference, the president announced that they would be launching their own anti-pass campaign. So in early 1960s, both parties embarked on a drive to prepare their members and the black community for the nationwide campaign. The PAC called on all its supporters to leave their passbooks at home on the designated day and to gather at police stations around the country, risking being arrested. So the mentality for the whole campaign or for that day was that if people were arrested or people didn't go to work because they were at the protest, then the economy would be at a standstill because most people wouldn't be at work. The campaign was highly anticipated, talked about, written about in newspapers, even though the exact date of the campaign wasn't known by most. On the 19th of March 1960, Mr. Sobukwe announced at a press conference that the campaign would embark on the 21st of March 1960, which was a Monday. He emphasized that the campaign would be conducted in a spirit of non-violence, and the PAC actually saw this as a first step for the black community to bid for freedom and independence by 1963. Mr. Sobukwe actually wrote a letter to the Sharpeville Police Commissioner announcing the upcoming protest and emphasizing the fact that the participants would be non-violent. So on the 21st, the PAC members went out. So they walked around Sharpeville, Sharpeville is 50 kilometers south of Joburg and it's just outside of Vereeniging. So they walked around Sharpeville, they were waking up people and urging them to participate in the protest or demonstration. So other members tried stopping bus drivers from going to work because if there were no bus drivers, there was no transport for people who were going to work. So some people walked to work, some people took bicycles to work, some people were intimidated by the PAC members because apparently they were threatened. The PAC members threatened the people that they would put hands on them or take their passbooks away if they didn't participate, and others just participated willingly in the protest. So the PAC leaders actually gathered in a field not so far from the Sharpeville police station with a sizable crowd, and then they started to proceed towards the police station, chanting freedom songs and chanting their campaign slogans. At the police station, there were a heavy contingent of policemen lined outside of the police station, and many of them were on top of armored cars. So the PAC leaders asked the white policemen to let them through so they could surrender themselves and get themselves arrested for not having their passbooks on them. Around 11 o'clock in the morning, they were let through and still chanting their songs and still saying their campaign slogans at an even greater volume at this point. By midday, approximately 300 armed police faced a crowd of approximately 5,000 unarmed protesters. And around 1:15 in the afternoon, a small scuffle happened near the entrance of the police station, and a policeman was knocked over or accidentally pushed, and so the crowd began moving forward trying to see what was happening because there was a scuffle in the front. So according to the police, the protesters started stoning the police, and so without warning anyone, one of the policemen who was on top of the armored cars actually started shooting. So the other policemen just started shooting in unison with that one policeman because they were just retaliating. So apparently the policemen were jittery and uneasy because there had been an incident in Durban where 9 policemen were shot. So the policemen were just trying to protect themselves because they didn't want the same fate to fall upon them. So that's why I guess the one person started shooting and they all just joined in. So the shooting lasted for approximately 2 minutes, leaving 69 people dead, and an official inquest says that 180 to 200 people were left seriously wounded, 50 women and children making up some of those victims. And an eyewitness actually attested that the people were giving no warning. Like, there was no warning for them to disperse, or there was no warning shot, where they were warned that if you don't go away right now, we will start shooting. And a large number of the victims, a large number of the people who were shot were actually shot on their backs, showing that they were shot as they were running away, not as they were bringing the fight towards the policemen. So the presence of the armored cars, and apparently there was also an Air Force fighter jet overhead, like flying overhead, pointed to the unnecessary provocation, as the crowd was unarmed and determined to stage a non-violent protest. So 700 bullets were fired on that day. And it was reported that one of the witnesses had reported that it was only about 3 policemen who were stoned, and the police said that the crowd had ferocious weapons, which was not true, and the only things belongings that were left by the protesters were shoes, hats, and bicycles. That was left after everything happened. And some witnesses actually say that they saw the policemen put knives in the hands of the dead victims to make it seem as though they had weapons and they were violent. So some victims actually say that the police would actually kill a victim if they saw a person injured laying there. They'd actually finish them off. And some policemen actually followed the victims to the hospital to arrest them, and some victims at least were let to heal a bit. Then after they were healed, they would be arrested. So on March the 30th, 1960, a state of emergency was declared. So it was illegal to have any kind of protest. So this was from March the 30th until August the 31st. And on 8th of April 1960, the PAC and ANC were actually banned. So it was illegal to belong to those two organizations. So during those 5 months, from March until August, 25,000 people were arrested. So during the protest in Sharpeville, there were other protests happening around the country, like in Pretoria, in Durban, Cape Town, East London. Like, people were going to the police stations and handing themselves over, even though some of them weren't arrested. But in support of what was happening in Sharpeville, other areas also participated. And I think there was a protest that happened in Cape Town after the Sharpeville massacre, just to retaliate against all those shootings, to retaliate against the inhumane treatment and the death of those 69 people who died. So the Sharpeville massacre helped focus international criticism on the apartheid policy, and actually Sharpeville was the place where our former president Nelson Mandela chose as the site where he would sign into law the country's new constitution on December 10th, 1996. So as you would know if you live in South Africa, the 21st of March is Human Rights Day. And yeah, so the Sharpeville massacre, guys, happened in 1960. And the whole point for the campaign or the protest was for the pass books to be abolished, right? And pass books were only abolished or stopped or not required in 1986. So that is what happened on the day in Sharpeville, and that is the story of the Sharpeville massacre. There's a lot of eyewitness reports and stuff like that. You can check out the sources that I put in my description. Some of them have eyewitness accounts and stuff like that. But I hope you guys enjoyed this episode, and of course, if you have anything else to add about the Sharpeville massacre, please do so in the comment sections. While you're at it, if you haven't already, please do subscribe, like, and comment. Also, please do share this video, and until next time,